do you know about gerrymandering?
I don't even know his name.
I don't either. Sorry.
It has something to do with the districting.
Oh, it's where you carve the districts to fit your politics.
I think most Americans will never know whether they've been gerrymandered out of a district. But they do know that our country's infrastructure is crumbling, our economy is cratered, and our government is broken. It turns out that the arcane rules of redistricting impact all of this by determining who gets elected and who gets represented.
How you doing? Because of my district, I ride in the swamp cabbage parade, and I love the people there. I'll eat swamp cabbage and all the fixins over there in Glades County. And then an hour later, you're eating German bratwurst because of the heavy German-Austrian population in Lee County. You have liberal Democrats on the East Coast, you have conservative Republicans on the West Coast, and you have Democrats who vote Republican in between. And actually, it's made me into a better legislator because I've had to reach out to people who are different than I am. I want to bet!
What you have is a situation where Dave has had to run in competitive districts, and he's a good Jewish boy from Miami who went to Harvard Law School, but yet he has to go put on a cowboy hat and ride in the swamp cabbage parade and bet on armadillo races because that's what the constituents in that part of his state want.
2 and 6.
2 and 6.
Here we go. I think that on the whole, people who represent competitive districts make better legislators. They make better members of Congress. Turn around! Turn around! Stop him!
The most pernicious form of gerrymandering was the one that was perpetrated out here in California in 2001. That was a bipartisan gerrymander. Republicans and Democrats got together behind closed doors and decided to freeze the election districts in such a way that they guaranteed all of their re-elections.
Bill, I am proud and happy to report that it has bipartisan support.
They passed the redistricting, if you can believe this, the day after 9/11.
Senator Prada.
Mr. President, members, this is the Senate and congressional redistricting for the decade.
There was no press, there was no media. They found it. They found the time to pass the redistricting when no one was watching.
The legislators have picked the voters rather than the voters picking the politicians.
People ask me all the time, they say, why would you go back and try it again when it has failed 5 times before? And I tell them, I said, look, I come from the lifting background. I've many times lifted 10 times the weight and couldn't lift it. And I've tried, I couldn't, but the 11th time I could. And I said, the same is with this, we never give up.
It's his pet issue. And you wouldn't expect a guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger to have something that is so inherently wonky as his pet issue. But I think that also speaks to the kind of politician that he is. He and I can agree or disagree on different policies that he's enacted as governor, but I think one thing I have to admire is any politician who looks at the sort of systemic structural problems of governance and decides to take those on.
Gerrymandering has created a dysfunction in a capital, and I think it was the biggest disservice to the people of California. The reason why things don't get done in Sacramento is because of partisanship. That because of the redistricting, Democrats have more and more gone to the left, and Republicans have gone more and more to the right. And the further those two groups go apart, the less can get done.
What's really at stake is our representation, because we have a democracy which is derived from districts. We all live within the boundaries of a district, and those lines are more often than not drawn in such a way that they're not really thinking about you and I and what is the best representation for us as citizens. The people drawing the lines are thinking, well, what is the best district that I can have to run in for the next decade?
You know, I used to live on this block.
Oh, really?
In 2002, but the lines were redrawn.
Hakeem Jeffries first ran for office in 2000.
Out of the 50.
He challenged an incumbent in the primary and did quite well in the primary. He didn't win, but it was enough to give the incumbent a bit of a scare. So that incumbent, when he had the opportunity, went and drew Hakeem's house out of the district by a block. And so Hakeem likes to say that he went to bed on February 14th, 2002 in one assembly district and woke up the next day in a completely different assembly district. Same bed, though.
I remember shaking my head in disbelief. There were a lot of people hoping to vote for me, but were surprised to find that they no longer lived in the assembly district that they had been living in for years, if not decades. Brooklyn politics can be pretty rough, but that move was gangster.
My attraction to the documentary is really the same reason I think people may have been attracted to Inconvenient Truth or Sicko, because they find a way to engage people so they'll sit for more than 30, 60 seconds and they'll actually get some benefit.